Spike Lee has criticized the Black Lives Matter movement for not protesting for Tyshawn Lee. Tyshawn Lee is a 9-year-old boy who was shot by gangs in Chicago. He was lured into an alley and they shot and killed him 7 times. Now he's saying that there should put more effort into protesting against the gangs is just as much as protesting against police brutality. Now some people will say Black Lives Matter is a police brutality protest group. But at the same time, they protested for the Missouri football players. With the Missouri football players, nobody was killed by the police. There were certain cases of where somebody said something racist to one of the players and they went on a protest. And Black Lives Matter protested for them. In a case where nobody was killed. But they're not going to protest for Tyshawn Lee. That's hypocritical. That's very hypocritical. And that's the problem I have with the Black Lives Matter movement. If black lives are going to matter, they should matter all the time. I have a serious problem with people who think black lives only matter when you're killed by a white person. But if you're killed by another black person, your life doesn't mean anything. Your life doesn't mean shit. The Bloods and Crips kill thousands of black children every year. But you're never going to see the Black Lives Matter movement protest against the Bloods and Crips and the gangster disciples and all these thugs and gangs who kill all these children. Less than 1% of black people are killed by the police. I think police brutality should be protested. I think police procedure needs to be changed. But at the same time, we also need to recognize inner city violence. Inner city violence is just as bad as aggressive policing. The only way to stop aggressive policing, you have to stop the inner city violence. If you live in a neighborhood where gangs are killing people every day, where thugs are killing innocent people every day, you're going to have more aggressive policing. It's just like with Baltimore. Baltimore, their police force went on strike for a month after the Freddie Gray death. They went on strike for a month. And the murder rate in Baltimore went up by 90%. Hundreds of people were killed. Hundreds of people were killed from gang violence. So when I hear a lot of these pro-blacks say, we don't need the police, we don't need law enforcement, we're going to patrol our own neighborhoods. But as soon as one of these gangs and thugs kills one of these kids, they don't say anything. They stay quiet. They believe in the no snitch code. And that's what's so hypocritical about a lot of these black militants. They want to stand up to the white man, but they won't stand up to the thug. They won't stand up to these gangs who are killing black children every day. If all black lives matter, then it should matter all the time. Anytime a black person is brave enough to speak out against inner city violence, he's going to be called an Uncle Tom, he's going to be called a coon, he's going to be called a sample. That's how ignorant a lot of these buffoons are. They will always call you a coon for speaking out against dysfunctional behavior. And then they'll defend that dysfunctional behavior that's destroying the black community. They'll defend the thugs who are killing black children every day. If you don't care about Tyshawn Lee's life, if you don't care about Tyshawn Lee's murder, then you don't give a damn about black lives. You don't give a shit about black lives. You're just trying to push a victim mentality. And the problem I have with the Black Lives Matter movement, They seem to care more about pushing this victim mentality than they do about black lives. And like I said, I think police brutality should be protested. But I think real police brutality should be protested. There's a difference between an innocent person who's shot by the police and a criminal who's shot by the police. There's a difference between some person who's walking down the street and did nothing wrong and they're shot by the police, and some fool who robs a liquor store and they're shot by the police. The problem I have with the Black Lives Matter movement is they don't separate the two. They'll try to put every police shooting in the same category. When you don't separate the two, you're taking away from the people who really are innocent, who are shot by the police. You're taking away from those innocent people who did nothing wrong. If somebody is a criminal and they're robbing somebody and killing somebody and they get shot by the police, that's not police brutality. If you're committing a crime against another person and you get shot by the police in the process, that's not police brutality. Police brutality is when you have a person who did nothing wrong and they get killed by the police. They get abused by the police. Like in Oscar Grant's case. Oscar Grant did nothing wrong and he was shot by the police. Rodney King did nothing wrong and he was beaten by the police. That's police brutality. That's a man who was done wrong for doing nothing wrong. People need to realize the difference. When I look at cases like Tyrone Harris, who was shooting at the police when he was shot by the police, that's not police brutality. This fool is on video shooting at the police. And Black Lives Matter still protests for him and raises $1 million to bail him out of jail when he's on video shooting at the police. That's the problem I have with the Black Lives Matter movement. They don't understand the difference between criminals being shot by the police and innocent people being shot by the police. If you don't understand the difference, I can't take you seriously. I think the Black Lives Matter movement actually has a good message, but they're unorganized. They're completely unorganized. And until they get more organized, I can't take them seriously. So I think Spike Lee is 100% right. If you're not going to protest for Tyshawn Lee, then you don't give a damn about black lives. You're a hypocrite who doesn't care about black lives. So I support Spike Lee 100%. I don't necessarily agree with all his movies. I think the Chicago movie that he's making, I saw the trailer for this movie and it just doesn't look that good. I think he's trying to turn it into a musical. If you ever saw the movie School Days is a musical about college black people. And it's about the divide between dark-skinned black people and light-skinned black people. I think the movie has a good message, but I don't think that's the type of movie you want to make for Chirac, for the problems in Chicago. I think the type of movie Spike Lee should make is like a Boys in the Hood type of movie. A Colors type of movie. I think he should make a real life movie about the problems in Chicago, about the gang violence in Chicago. But instead, he made a movie that's a musical. He made a movie where they're singing every 5 minutes. I just don't think that's going to work for a movie that's based in Chicago violence. I don't think that's going to work. But I think I agree with Spike Lee's message about all lives should matter regardless who the killer is. No matter who the killer is, all lives should matter if you're going to say all black lives matter. And it amazes me how a lot of people don't realize the hypocrisy in that. Because how can you say all lives matter, but completely ignore Tyshawn Lee's murder? Completely ignore Hydea Pelleton's murder? Completely ignore Darian Albert's murder? So I think people need to realize that if you're going to say all black lives matter, then all black lives should matter. Not just when a white person kills a black person. They should matter no matter who's doing the killing. Especially when it involves children. Especially when it involves innocent children who did nothing wrong, like Tyshawn Lee. So if Black Lives Matter is going to be outraged by the Missouri protests about the Missouri football players being called a racial slur, then they should be outraged by a 9-year-old child being shot 7 times and murdered. If you're not willing to protest against these gangs and thugs who are killing our black children, then you don't give a damn about black lives. So people need to listen to what Spike Lee is saying. He's speaking the truth. He's not against the Black Lives Matter movement. He's just saying, hey, if you're going to say all black lives matter, then all black lives should matter regardless of who the killer is. A lot of people have different opinions about this topic. Leave a comment, rate, and subscribe.